Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Pitbull Speed Racer and Thomas Sanders would both be out this race because they bumped into each other really hard. And unfortunately, Steve Millwheel would have a career-ending crash. I feel bad for Steve Millwheel, but who caused this career-ending crash? Kyle Busch-Tire, the mean yellow car! And Kyle Busch-Tire will be suspended for 12 races because of what he did. Those 12 races are this race, the 2014 LA 500, and the first 11 races of next season. This would lead Piston Cup fans to cheer as the mean yellow car won't be on the track. And Cal Williams will replace Steve Millwheel. Rex Revler will be suspended this race for using illegal tires in qualifying. And here is what Craig Shiftwright had to say. And both Bogart Hopscotch and Samuel Serpentino would wreck each other out in practice. Of course they did that. And Dino Draftsky would get flipped in practice by Ryan Rodage's why? And Ryan Rodages will be suspended this race because of what he did. And Chad Motorgas would be out this race because his team ran out of spare engines. Now onto the starting grid, where Lightning McQueen will start at pole position with Kurt Busch-Tire to his outside. Row 2 has Matt Karzith and Brad Keselowski. I wonder how they'll do this race. Row 3 has Kevin Harvick and Clint Bowcar. Both are hoping to do well this race. Row 4 has Darren Leadfoot and Denny Carlin. Now, onto Row 5, which has the mean yellow and red car, Joey Logierno, and Martin Carrix Jr. to his outside. Row 6 has Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brick Yardley. Both have an outside chance of winning the Piston Cup. Row 7 has Bobby Swift, another car that can win the Piston Cup, and Phil Tankson to his outside. Row 8 has Carl Edwards and James Garrison, who's actually quite popular among the fans. Row 9 has Jimmy Cables and Eric Carmarola, sponsored by Dynaco Light. Row 10 has Jamie McCarry and Greg People to his outside. I wonder how they'll do this race. Row 11 has the Rocket Ryan Newcar and Ricky Speedhouse Jr. to his outside. Row 12 has Casey Corner and Jamarcus Kakart, the second number 28 car in this race. Row 13 has AJ Carmeninger and Speedy Comet, only qualifying for his 6th race this season. Row 14 has Kyle Carson and Tony Gasworth, who's hoping to have a better season this season. Row 15 has Cal Weathers and TG Castlenut to his outside. Row 16 has Billy Carjoy and Ernie Gearson to his outside. Row 17 has Reb Meeker and Todd Marcus, who got his 3rd win this season. Row 18 has Sebastian Silva and his teammate Chip Gearings to his outside. And row 19 has Jack DePost and Brick Hicks, the nice Hicks brother. Row 20 has Maury Clutchburn and Carl Clutchin making his 23rd start of this season. Row 21 has the jumper Doug Throttleman and Alex Bloman to his outside. And starting in 43rd is Dirksen D'Agostino, who nobody thought would qualify, especially ahead of these 9 cars, among many others who failed to qualify for this race. Now, let's get on to the race where Lightning McQueen would lead the first 13 laps before losing the lead to Kurt Busch-Tire, who would lead for 2 laps before on lap 15, Kurt Busch-Tire would say this: "Kurt Busch-Tire, don't say that word!" On lap 15, Kevin Harvick would take the lead for himself and lead for 10 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 64, where Denny Carlin would take the lead from him. He would lead for just 2 laps before Darren Leadfoot would take the lead for himself, leading the field into lap 66 before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 110, where Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead. He would lead for another 11 laps before Kevin Harvick would retake the lead. Retaking the lead on lap 121 and losing the lead the very next lap to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead for 2 more laps before Kevin Harvick would retake the lead, leading the field all the way until lap 157, where Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead. He would lead for 8 more laps before Denny Carlin would take the lead for himself once again, leading for 30 laps. But on lap 182, Tony Gaswood would be out because he hit the wall really hard. Bobby Swift would take the lead on lap 195 and lead the field until lap 212, where Speedy Comet would be out because of an engine failure. And after the restart, Denny Carlin would take the lead and lead for 8 more laps until lap 222. And then he would fail to wreck Lightning McQueen on lap 222. But Lightning McQueen would take the lead that lap and lead all the way until lap 243, where Bobby Swift would retake the lead. He would lead for 9 laps before Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead once again, leading off of pit cycles. But on lap 253, Denny Carlin would be back in the lead, leading for 6 more laps. But on lap 259, Phil Takeson would push Denny Carlin out of the way and then take the lead himself, leading the field for 2 laps before on lap 260, Kevin Harvick would retake the lead, leading for 9 more laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 276, where for the first time this race, Cal Weathers would take the lead, but he would lose the lead on lap 282 to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead for 3 more laps before losing the lead to Bobby Swift, who would lead for 8 more laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead. He would lead for 3 more laps before losing the lead to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead all the way until lap 332, where Lightning McQueen would once again retake the lead, leading for 6 laps. But Joey Logierno would be 21st as of lap 338, where he wrecks Maury Clutchburn, Chip Gearings, Brick Yardley, AJ Carmendinger, and Greg People. Why, you mean yellow and red car? And Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! Kevin Harvick would take the lead after the restart, leading until lap 342, where Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for 3 more laps. And on lap 345, Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! Lightning McQueen would take the lead on lap 345 and lead for 2 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading until lap 350, where Bobby Swift would retake the lead, leading for just 1 lap before Bad Brad Keselowski would take the lead, leading for 2 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead once again, leading for 5 more laps before Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, leading for 11 laps. But number 11, Denny Carlin would fail to wreck Darren Leadfoot on lap 366. And Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! And on lap 366, Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for 3 more laps before Bobby Swift would retake the lead, leading off of pit cycles. But after the pit stops were done, Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 4 more laps until Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead once again, leading for 10 more laps until lap 384, where Kevin Harvick would retake the lead, leading for 3 laps before Matt Kenseth would take the lead for himself, leading the field until lap 391. But Darren Leadfoot would take the lead on lap 391 and lead for 5 laps. And Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! Lightning McQueen would take the lead on lap 396 and lead the field until lap 402, where Bobby Swift would retake the lead, leading for just 2 laps before Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, leading the field all the way until lap 429, where Brad Keselowski would retake the lead, leading for just 2 laps before Jimmy Cables would take the lead for himself, leading for just 2 laps before losing the lead to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead for 3 more laps until lap 435, where Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! Cal Weathers would take the lead on lap 435 and lead until lap 441, where Lightning McQueen would take the lead once again, leading for 4 more laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead on lap 445, lead for 2 more laps. And Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! On lap 446, Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead and lead all the way until lap 462, where Denny Carlin would take the lead once again, leading for 4 more laps. But Dirksen D'Agostino would be out on lap 466 because of engine failure. Kevin Harvick would take the lead after the restart, but soon after the restart, Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 3 more laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading until lap 472, where Kurt Busch tire, don't say that word! Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead on lap 472 and lead until lap 473, where Bad Brad Keselowski would retake the lead, leading for 4 more laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 2 more laps, and Kurt Busch tire, don't say that word! Darren Ledfoot would take the lead on lap 479 and lead for 11 laps before Cal Weathers would take the lead for himself on lap 490, leading for 2 more laps, and Kurt Busch tire, don't say that word! Doug Throttleman would be 28th as of lap 492, where he wrecks Alex Blowman, Carl Edwards, Ernie Gearson, and himself, all by accident. Hopefully, this does not happen again. Darren Ledfoot would take the lead after the restart and not lead for long, and Kurt Busch tire, don't say that word! How many times do I have to tell you to not say that word? Lightning McQueen would take the lead from Darren Ledfoot and lead for 4 more laps before Denny Carlin would wreck Lightning McQueen on lap 497, which would result in Lightning McQueen going from 1st to 20th. Darren Ledfoot would once again take the lead, leading the final 3 laps of the race to win the 2014 LA 500, with Kevin Harvick finishing 2nd this race, Cal Weathers 3rd, Ryan Newcar 4th, Brad Keselowski 5th, Jamie McCarry 6th, Matt Kenseth 7th, Denny Carlin 8th, Lightning McQueen 9th, and Bobby Swift rounding out the top 10, and TG Castlenut would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 31st this race. I already recapped who finished in the top 10, and in case if you've forgotten, on the right is how many points each car earned from their position. Clint Bokar, Kurt Busch tire, Casey Corner, Kyle Carson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. round out the top 15, with Joey Logierno up next, and Martin Truex Jr., Brick Hicks, Eric Carmarola, and Phil Tankson rounding out the top 20. Jimmy Cable's finishing 21st and getting 100 points. Ricky Speedhouse Jr., Billy Carjoy, Todd Marcus, Jamarcus Capehart, James Garrison, Sebastian Silva, Jack DePost, Carl Clutchin, Red Meeker, and TG Castlenut all finishing on the lead lap. Unfortunately, 12 cars were unable to finish the race, including Brick Yardley, who at the start of the day was able to win the Piston Cup mathematically. Unfortunately, the Piston Cup won't be his. But who won the Piston Cup, you ask? Cal Weathers wins the 2014 Piston Cup! That gives Cal Weathers his 2nd Piston Cup and the 3rd member of the Weathers family to win more than 1 Piston Cup. Cal Weathers was actually very dependent on Denny Carlin wrecking Lightning McQueen with 3 to go. If Lightning McQueen had finished only a few positions higher, the Piston Cup would have been his, and he would have won 7 Piston Cups. Lightning McQueen is going to have to wait for that 7th Piston Cup. Bobby Swift also finishes 3rd this season. By the way, the cars that finished in the top 3, Cal Weathers, Lightning McQueen, and Bobby Swift, all led at least 1 lap in all 36 races of this season. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kevin Harvick round out the top 5, with Brad Keselowski actually overtaking Brick Yardley, who will finish the season in 7th, only a few points ahead of Ryan Newcar in 8th. Matt Kenseth and the mean yellow and red car, Joey Logierno, will round out the top 10, with Phil Tankson, Jimmy Cables, Carl Edwards, Greg Beeple, Denny Carlin, Kyle Busch tire, who missed the final race due to suspension, Clint Bokar, Kyle Carson, Casey Corner, and rounding out the top 20, Jamie McCarry. Brick Hicks was very unlucky to miss out on the top 20, but he did finish 21st, which is a personal best, ahead of Kurt Busch-Tyer, who said that word that should not be said too many times in the final race. Eric Carmarola, T.G. Castlenut, and James Garrison round out the top 25, with Jamarcus Cakehart, Martin Carx Jr., who had a bad season, Todd Marcus, who's had a good season, Billy Carjoy, and Tony Gasswood rounding out the top 30. Doug Throttleman would finish 31st, with Maury Clutchburn not performing very well this season due to the collapse of Speedson Racing, finishing 32nd this season, only a few points ahead of Chip Gearings in 33rd and Reb Meeker in 34th. Jack DePost would finish this season 35th, and AJ Carmeninger would surprisingly finish in the top 40 this season, qualifying for a very large amount of races compared to last season, and he will finish this season 36th in points. Ernie Gearson, the oldest active Piston Cup racer, will continue to finish in the top 40, finishing 37th this season, and rookie Alex Bloman would finish right behind him in 38th. Rex Reffler, due to missing the final race, dropped to 39th in points, and Sebastian Silva will round out the top 40 for the 2014 Piston Cup season.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Despite the top 40 going to the 40 cars who had the most number of points at the end of the season, Carl Clutchen and Ricky Speedhouse Jr. were unlucky to miss out on the top 40, despite the fact that both of them qualified for the season finale, and Rex Revler did not. If anything, this is the season where the top 20 qualified for the fewest races. What do I mean? 3 cars that finished in the top 20 did not take part in all 36 races of the 2014 Piston Cup season, which is actually quite impressive. And due to saying that bad word too many times, Kurt Busch-Tyer will be suspended for the first 3 races of next season. So don't expect him to be in the 2015 Florida 500. The video covering the 2015 Florida 500 will be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. The Ukrainian people just wanted to live in peace and have freedom, but this common dream was ruined by the tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who saw the need to make Russia even bigger. Did he forget that Russia is the biggest country in the world? Why would he need to make Russia even bigger and start an unjustified war to do so? Currently, Vladimir Putin's tyranny rules over 1/5 of Ukraine, including Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts. Every day, it gets harder for Ukraine to win the war because of dwindling supplies. We here at the K.A. Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava! Nechai Shvetsya Daroretsia, Ukraini Permoha! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon!